Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Department of the Navy Office of the Small Business Programs event. We are pleased to have you with us and look forward to providing you a wealth of information this afternoon. My name is Denise Randolph. I'm the Chief of Staff for that same office. I am here today joined by Mr. Jimmy Smith, the Director of the Office of Small Business Programs, and Ms. Arvise Washington, the Deputy Director of those programs. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Smith with a few admin comments. During this entire presentation, you will see a Q&A session down at the bottom of your screen or to the right, depending on which view you are using. Please use that to submit any and all questions you have, and you can feel free to start that right now to make sure that any questions that you have and that you would like to have answered are accommodated within this brief. During the brief, there will be a break in about 2 hours in to allow you to run off and do whatever you need to do and come back. And then there will be a full question and answer session at the very end. So if we are unable to get to your questions because the brief went for the entire time of the brief, no worries. Drop those questions on in the Q&A session, the Q&A section, and we'll get to those. Unfortunately, we will not be monitoring the chat, so please don't use the chat for your questions. Again, please submit them through the Q&As. Without further ado, I am very pleased to introduce Mr. Jimmy Smith. Mr. Smith?
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for participating in this event today. We really do look forward to sharing with you the opportunities of working with the Department of the Navy, especially right there at Naval Air Station Fallon. And we're going to expose you to a great deal of information. We are a renowned resource of information for you, free to you to use in order to show you how to do business with the Department of the Navy. So with that, if I could have my slides pulled up there, Ms. Destiny, we'll jump right into it. Okay, all right, everyone. Again, welcome to the Department of the Navy, and we're going to show you how to do business with us. Here's the agenda that we're going to run through today. Pretty action-packed, a lot of information, as I mentioned before, going to be conveyed to you. And you will, if you've provided your information to us for us to share your contact information, we will provide the slides and all of that to you as well. Next slide, please. Okay, one more. So in doing business with the Department of the Navy, we have some primary objectives that we're responsible for. In keeping with the National Defense Strategy, which is that document off to the left, those are the things that are guiding the Department of Defense in those lines of effort. Increasing lethality, strengthening alliances, and greater performance and ability and affordability. And next to that, you see the Department of the Navy's Business Operations Plan. Again, another derivative of the National Defense Strategy about how we do business and the things we're looking for. And those three priorities listed in that document: people, capability, and processes. And I, through the Office of the Navy Small Business Programs, I have three focus areas as well, and they are perfectly aligned with the Department of the Navy's Operations Business Plan. People, take care of our people, provide the capability, and improve the processes we're exercising in order to get capability to the warfighter so that they will never be in a fair fight. And again, folks, this really isn't about a free handout. This is really, no kidding, supporting the mission of the Navy, supporting the mission of the Department of Defense. So if you're looking for a handout, you can hang up right now. We don't have any work for you in that regard. But supporting our warfighters, that's what we're all about, and that's how we utilize small businesses. Increasing the agility to get capability to people who need it, relevancy, providing relevant capability to people who need it when they need it. That's what this is really all about. Next slide, please. And I'm going to walk you through some of our major buying commands. So we have 10 major buying commands across the Department of the Navy, and I'm going to quickly walk through them to give you an appreciation for who were the people with the money and who were the people with the contracts across the department. So first on the list is U.S. Marine Corps Installation and Logistics Command, headquartered in Washington, D.C., just outside the Pentagon. They're the primary resource sponsor for providing ground equipment, those things that the Marines need in order to support them as they go underway on their mission. So if they need roads built, water purification plants, electrical plants, you name it, the things that they need, barracks, things that Marines need in order to support executing the mission, you want to contact the U.S. Marine Corps Installation and Logistics Command. Next on the list is the Marine Corps Systems Command. This particular command is headquartered in Quantico, Virginia, just down the road from the Pentagon, and they're there to support everything that the Marine needs from a warfighting standpoint. Everything from helmets to weapons to uniforms to boots to vehicles to bullets, everything that a Marine needs in order to go off into harm's way and come back successfully is primarily provided through that particular command. Next on the list, Naval Facilities Engineering Command. This is where the bigger part of the Navy gets its support from a facility standpoint. So if bases overseas, taking care of buildings that need to be built, schools, infrastructure, power plants, water treatment plants, on a big Navy scale, those kind of construction efforts are done through the Naval Facilities Engineering Command. Next on the list, strategic systems programs, the high-end fight. This is the activity that's responsible for the Trident D5 nuclear missile. If you're into high-end capability, high-end technology, you may want to contact those folks, and they're headquartered in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Navy Yard. Next on the list is our Naval Supply Systems Command, headquartered in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. This is basically where the Navy goes to buy commodities, consumables, those things like paints, oils, lubricants, things we consume as a part of conducting a mission. It's kind of like going to Costco, going to Walmart for the Navy. This is where we go to purchase those things, and they provide them to the Navy worldwide. So if you're interested in providing goods to the Navy in that particular fashion, NAVSUP is the command that you want to talk to regarding that. And they also are responsible for a great deal of overhaul, maintenance of equipment that we have out in the field. So in order to keep things up and running, we also need to support that infrastructure through logistics support. Next slide, please. Our sixth command that I'll talk to here is the Military Sea Lift Command. I don't know that many people know that we have a Navy outside of our warfighting Navy that supports the fleet, but that large cargo ship represents chartered services that provide goods and services to our fleet while they're afloat. Our ships don't necessarily need to pull into somebody's port in order to be replenished with food or have trash offloaded or fuel provided. Those sorts of things can be done at sea through an UNREP. Basically, helicopters pick up capability, goods off of the deck of that cargo ship, fly them over to the warfighting ship, and then there's this ferry back and forth of things that we need and things that we need to get rid of that goes along with that kind of support to the fleet. So Military Sea Lift Command, they're headquartered down in Norfolk, Virginia. Next on the list, Naval Air Systems Command. So anything that flies in the Navy is responsible for, it's headquartered in Patuxent River, Maryland. And as you know, Naval Air Station Fallon is a part of that command. So if it flies, fixed wing, rotary wing, drones, you name it, that's the command that you want to target if you're interested in supporting that kind of activity. Next on the list is Naval Information Warfare Systems Command, NAVWAR. They're headquartered in San Diego, California, and this is basically our afloat and ashore information technology. So all of the IT, all of the radars, all of the computers, all of the electronic warfare systems, all of the IT related capabilities, cyber, those are done through that command. So if you're interested in that work, NAVWAR is the command for you to be chasing down. Two more to go here. The Office of Naval Research. If you're interested in research and development, science and technology, discovery and invention, the Office of Naval Research is where you want to contact. If you've got a great idea that you want to see matured and furthered to eventually provide capability to the warfighter, and these kind of things that come out of this organization aren't due tomorrow, aren't due a year from now. There's an investment where we're maturing technology, we're pushing the edge of the envelope on technology and science in this area. So we're looking for things to help 5 years from now, 10 years from now, for those people who are going to need those things then. So if you're interested in that work, the Office of Naval Research is there for you in that regard. And last but not least on the list is the Naval Sea Systems Command. This is the command that's responsible for the life cycle support of all of our ships, aircraft carriers, and submarines in the fleet today. And I do mean life cycle support from design through disposal. This particular command, headquartered in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Navy Yard, is responsible for that entire evolution, designing those platforms, building those platforms, overseeing the construction, the maintenance, the operations, and as I mentioned, eventually the disposal of those platforms where we recycle those materials to put them to further use once they've reached their life expectancy for their operational plans. So in a nutshell, you've seen the 10 major buying commands that the Navy utilizes to provide that capability that our warfighters need. And let's move on to the next slide, please. Give you some stats on how well we've been doing. Since FY 17 to FY 20, we provided some goals and objectives here for how we've been doing in our performance in working with small businesses. So as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, small disadvantaged businesses, our goals are in orange, our actual performance is in yellow. So as you can see, if you look across the board here regarding women-owned small businesses, service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, hub zones, we're doing very well, doing quite well in achieving our goals and exceeding our goals and objectives. And that trend continues off into FY 21. And I'll show you that slide here in a second. Next slide, please. For this particular fiscal year that we're in right now, the Navy is spending about $84.7 billion that can be counted towards small business participation. So as the breakdown goes right now, other than small businesses are getting about 70 billion of that money, and small businesses are getting about 14 billion of that $84 billion that the Navy is spending this fiscal year. Now, the Navy and the way that we parse our numbers here, these numbers only reflect when we do a prime contract with a small business or with an other than small business partner. So these numbers don't take into account the Navy awarding a contract to a large industry partner and then that large industry partner subcontracting that work out to small businesses. We're not including that money. So these dollars that we're showing for small businesses, $14 billion is what the Navy has contracted with small businesses directly to do in support of the warfighter, in support of the mission, in support of those who are supporting the warfighter. So as you can see, our goal for FY21 was 15.61% of our money. Currently, and we're approaching the end of the fiscal year now, close to 30 September will be the closeout of this fiscal year. We've already exceeded what we were supposed to achieve by way of small business goals. And next to that, the 6.22, that is our small disadvantaged business requirement. As you can see, the goal is 5.71. We're in excess of that at 6.22. And the story goes on for service disabled veteran, women-owned small businesses, and hub zone. We are by far achieving our goals and objectives in this regard. But as I mentioned early on in the presentation, this isn't about meeting goals. This is about supporting the warfighter in the best, most cost-effective manner we possibly can. And utilizing small businesses is something that we in the Navy are doing from a strategic advantage standpoint. Small businesses give us great agility, provide great performance, and the innovation that comes from small businesses spurs on greater support to the warfighter. Next slide, please. One of the things that I want you all to take away from this particular slide is how many people in FY20 joined doing business with the Department of the Navy? And as you can see right in the middle of the page, 2,121 new small businesses began working for the Department of the Navy. And of those small businesses, they earned over $1 billion. Now, on the flip side of that coin, in FY20, we had about 1,000 industry partners leave doing business with us for whatever reason. COVID could be a big part of that discussion, but for whatever reason, we had about 1,000 industry partners depart from doing business with us in that time frame. So this slide is here to show you that there's nothing but opportunity that exists when it comes time to do business with us. The money that we're spending is about the same every single year. So we are going to spend the money because of the things we need, and to spread that money to small businesses, if they are there to support what we are looking for, they stand a very good chance of getting their cut of that money that we're putting out. That's what this slide is really telling you in a nutshell. Next slide, please. And I think I'm just about done here. So in doing business with the Department of the Navy, we have these steps identified inside this red box here for those things that you need to do in order to support doing business with the Department of the Navy. And as you can see, there's a website there where you can go see this right up close and personal. But we have laid out the individual steps that you need to accomplish in a very deliberate fashion in order to do business, not with just the Department of the Navy, but if you want to do business with the federal government, these things need to be behind you in order for you to be procurement ready. So again, these steps, please visit them on our website, go through them at your leisure, but you have to be very deliberate about following the process required in order to move to the next step and to the next step and to the next step. If you don't follow the steps in order in a deliberate fashion, you don't get to come out the other side to do business with us. So it's stringent for a reason, because we're looking for great support, because we can't afford to have those failures occur out in the field with our warfighters. So this process works, and you have to follow it deliberately. I can't stress that enough. Don't try to take a shortcut when you're trying to do business with the government. These things need to be behind you in order for you to do business with us. So again, at your leisure, please visit the website off to the left-hand side of the page and get exposed to those steps you need to accomplish in order to be procurement ready to do business with the federal government. Next slide. Okay, my office, the Office of Small Business Programs for the Department of the Navy, we are your resource. We're here and available to support those things you're interested in doing in order to support those 10 major buying commands. I like to tell people right up front, you didn't see my office called out on those list of 10 major buying commands. I don't have the money, I don't have the contracts, they do, but we can provide that connective tissue to get you and to talk to program managers, to talk to contracting officers about the opportunities that they're providing by way of doing business with us. We have a long-range acquisition forecast on our website. I encourage you to visit that so that you can understand what solicitations are coming down that you may be interested in either priming for that opportunity or serving as a subcontractor to someone who else may be serving as a prime, and you can set up a business arrangement with another industry partner in that regard. But these social media outlets that are here on the page, please utilize them to your advantage. They're absolutely free to you. We have so many resources. The YouTube channel is just loaded with opportunities for you to learn about how to do business with us, and Facebook, Twitter, as I mentioned. These things are free to you. Please put them to use, because this is how you become effective in order to be in a position to do business with us. Next slide, please. All right, well, I think I'm done here. Please put your questions down in the Q&A box. And let me introduce Commander Scott Bayer, who is the commanding officer there at Naval Station Fallon. Over to you, sir.
Great. Thank you and good morning. Appreciate it, Mr. Smith. Truly appreciate your office setting this up and going over some opportunities that may be available in Fallon. So thank you to you. Again, I'm Commander Scott Beyer. I'm the Public Works Officer for Naval Air Station Fallon. Also representing the commanding officer, Captain Evan Morrison, who sends his regrets and couldn't be here today. So the first thing I'll do is actually just kind of walk through a little bit of what NAS Fallon does and why we're here. And then we'll go into some of the nuts and bolts of what opportunities might be available for small businesses and particularly Native-owned in the area. So again, I'm Commander Scott Beyer, Public Works Officer. What I generally am responsible for is anything a normal municipal public works director would be responsible for. Everything from engineering and construction, facilities maintenance, utilities, environmental management, and the list goes on. So again, as Mr. Smith mentioned earlier, NAVFAC, Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command, is one of the major buying entities in the Navy, and I'll go over that here in just a little bit. So again, why is NAS Fallon here, and what do we do? Strategically, NAS Fallon is very important for the Navy, particularly the Naval Aviation Enterprise and the Navy Special Warfare Command, which is the Navy SEALs. With that mission, well, let me back up. The mission of the base is to support integrated carrier air wing training. So all the aircraft that deploy onto an aircraft carrier, they come to Fallon to train together. It's the only Navy base in the Navy in the United States that offers that capability. And so you can see the strategic importance. Similarly, the Navy Special Warfare Command is the exclusive, the Naval Air Station Fallon is the exclusive site of their tactical ground mobility training. So again, with that mission comes a ton of support functions. We've got to get supplies, whether that be parts, materials, food, facility services, construction, et cetera, et cetera. Some of that is done in-house with Navy, Department of Navy Labor, and a lot of it is done through contract. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. Again, just another kind of quick highlights for the air station is to emphasize the importance of why we're here is that every Navy SEAL and every naval aviator, they train in Fallon 90 days or less before they deploy. So it's their last stop in their training cycle before they go into harm's way. And obviously we want to support that mission and ensure that they're trained for the fight that they're about to engage in. Again, the base operating support is accomplished through a combination of in-house labor and contracts, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. Next slide, please. Again, this is just kind of a visual regional representation. I know there's some folks here that are not necessarily in Fallon or familiar with Fallon, but we're about 65 miles east of the Reno metro area, although still a fairly small market, which I'll talk about here shortly. We're situated in the high desert, kind of in the shadows of the Sierra Nevadas, in the Lahontan Valley, which is an old ancient lake bed. NAS Fallon consists of the main station, which you can see kind of the call out there on the slide, but then a series of surrounding training ranges, also known as the Fallon Range Training Complex. So again, we've got to have room for the aviators to fly and practice air to air and air to surface, weapons delivery. Next slide, please. So again, kind of the nuts and bolts and why we're here. What services does the base require? How do we support the mission that I just spoke about? Like I said, we need supplies and parts, equipment, logistics, facility services, infrastructure, and the list goes on. Kind of the way to think about it is think of your own home. Who mows the lawn and waters it? Who controls the weeds and the pests? Who picks up the trash and debris and keeps the home organized, neat, safe, and who repairs it when there's a need for that service. Custodial utilities serve each facility. We have a motor pool that the base personnel can use for day-to-day logistics. And then, of course, the facilities themselves, right? Preventive maintenance, changing filters, operational testing of air conditioning, and just ensuring that the systems that we have are maintained properly and are going to meet their intended life cycle. And then, as you can imagine, things break down, and so we have to repair them. Whether that's a broken window or broken air conditioning, all of that plays into the services that we require from a facilities and infrastructure standpoint. I'd also like to highlight that maintenance and repair services extend to all the base infrastructure, so all the utility systems. Particularly for NAS Fallon, our airfield is our most valuable asset. That's why we're here. So it requires constant attention to ensure it's safe and operable. The airfield is more than just the runway. It's parking and striping, crack and spall repair on the concrete, pavement clearance, snow removal, and the list goes on. It's just, just want to highlight, how many different things it takes to operate a base. We also contract for engineering and construction services. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit. The note at the bottom of the slide, I would just like to highlight that. Significant because, those requirements are so important that, we can't afford to have them gaps. So currently, all those requirements are met through existing contracts. Generally, there's one contractor who provides most of those services. But as Mr. Smith mentioned, kind of an unappreciated quantity of services that are provided and money that is expended is through subcontracts, and that's no different for NAS Fallon. Even our base operating service contractor still subs out some of those services in order to accomplish them. So naturally, you might want to know who that service contractor is. Next slide, please. So thanks. Chugach Federal Services Incorporated has several subsidiaries that provide services across the DoD, and particularly the Navy. One of those subsidiaries is Defense Base Services. They are our base operating service contractor. They're an Alaskan native owned, and they do offer hiring preference for natives, for those candidates that are fully qualified for the open positions. I think that's important to note. DBSI, in short, they employ over 150 people, closer to 200 in fact, from the local community, and are regularly hiring for various positions. And while the focus of this workshop is generally just doing business with the government, potential contracting opportunities, I'd be remiss if I didn't offer some of their current openings. at NAS Fallon. And I have permission from them to offer these. But you can see on the slide there, they're always looking for positions. Currently open are 4 grounds maintenance laborers, a high voltage electrician, 2 boiler mechanics, a low voltage electrician, and a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning mechanic. So again, those opportunities are available on their website. I apologize, there doesn't appear to be their website on the slide. That's easy enough to get to, but again, defense-based services for the NAS Fallon area. Next slide, please. Okay, so what do we do for the larger repair projects, right? Not everything is simple. You know, fixing a door hinge or a broken window. What about those major items that require attention? You know, broken water line, or recently had a car run into a barracks facility. You know, those are not everyday items that any contractor can provide, particularly a service contractor. So we obviously hire construction contractors as well. A lot of times our missions, the individual tenant missions change or grow, and we need a building renovation to reconfigure the spaces, or we need a new building, new parking lot, you know, and so on and so forth. So those construction services are accomplished through construction contracts. There's a few different opportunities for how we do business through construction contracts, and I'll get to those in just a second. But over the past 5 years, our average construction execution has been nearly $30 million a year. Part of that is due to the F-35 laydown in NAS Fallon. So we won't expect that level of expenditure to continue. Over the next decade, I'd say we're closer to $5 to $8 million anticipated execution for general repair and construction. And one thing I'd like to highlight, the last bullet on that first, the last sub bullet on the first bullet is significant to us because of our ability to get good quality, construction contracts in place. There's a large and growing demand for contractors in the Reno area with the kind of explosion of the Tahoe Reno industrial complex and the critical housing area that Reno is experiencing. So for us to get a new pool of contractors in and getting fair and reasonable prices is very difficult for us. So I'd say that right now there's kind of a prime time to kind of break into that industry, particularly for the Naval Air Station in Fallon. Like I said, there's several contracting mechanisms we use throughout the DoD, really, but fewer locally at NAS Fallon. We do compete our contracts generally, but we are interested in developing a robust 8A sole source program as well. Like I said, any new contractors we can get interested in the work at NAS Fallon also benefits us. So we'll continue to work on that program. For the larger projects, particularly the new footprint or new construction, those are always generally competitive solicitations. Single project and no guarantee, as opposed to some of the job order contracts that we use for the smaller projects on base. So again, our primary means of getting work done is through these job order contracts. Some of them are competed, but again, once you have that base contract, it's kind of like a retainer where that contract is already in place, and then each task order or job order is negotiated with that contractor in order to speed up the process. And in essence, it's kind of a pre-vetted program where we can avoid the long drawn-out solicitations for every project. Now there's a cap in those job order contracts, not to exceed 4 million currently. But again, those, you can see that the benefit both to a contractor for continued and steady work, and then the benefits to the Navy, wherein we have a pre-approved, so to speak, contractor who is awaiting further task orders and is generally on site, ready to go. So we have 4 of those currently. You can see their logos on the slide there: Miller Electric, JG Contracting, Alfaro General Engineering, and Mountain Methods. So again, they are doing current work for us. There may be employment opportunities with them as well, potential subcontract opportunities with them. And then, truly, as Mr. Smith mentioned, if your business or the interest you have in developing a business to the point of doing business with the government, you could be a contract holder for one of those job order contracts. Again, there's several mechanisms, but those are the primary ones that we have, or that we use here at NAS Fallon. And then I'll end, at least on this slide, with just, again, we're trying to stand up a better and more robust small business program where we can sole source to those 8A businesses through a negotiated contract. But those are obviously good for us and good for local small businesses to develop. So we'll continue to emphasize that program. Next slide, please. I wanted to add this slide in. It's a little bit kind of off the map with respect to the intent of this workshop here. But again, another opportunity. NAS Fallon has had nearly or over 200 homes for active duty personnel that have been built in the last few years. That current phase is coming to a close, but we're in the process of getting approval for another 192 homes. Obviously, with that comes another contract opportunity, subcontracting opportunities, employment opportunities for whomever is the successful contractor. We're probably looking at a couple of years still down the road before that gets kicked off. But again, I just wanted to be comprehensive with some of the opportunities that are coming up in Fallon. Next slide, please. Here, I want to turn it over to Lieutenant JG Noah Stewart. You'll remember that Mr. Smith mentioned another one of the major buying commands, probably the largest buying command, apart from facilities and infrastructure, which is under my purview. There's so much more opportunity, even at NAS Fallon, through the Naval Supply Systems Command. So I'd like to turn it over to Lieutenant JG Stewart. Noah, are you on?
Yes, sir. All right, thank you for having me today. I just want to highlight some of these things that were mentioned. As Mr. Smith said, NAVSUP is kind of like the Costco for the Navy. And FLC, the Fleet Logistics Center, who I work for, is an entity of that provides logistics services. So again, I'm Lieutenant Noah Stewart. I'm the site director for FLC Fallon here. And this is a single slide, but what I'll do is I'll break it down. I'll just talk about our services, our customers, and how we provide, that logistic capability here in Site Fallon. So on the base here, we provide support to NAUTIC, that's the Naval Air Warfare Development Center, also known as Top Gun. We have VFC 13, one of the squadrons, this Navy Special Warfare Training Center, the base itself, Naval Air Station Fallon, and then our biggest customer being the carrier air wings. And right now we've got a carrier air wing on base. Those air wings consist of about 1,500 personnel, nearly 80 aircraft. And just this month alone, we're looking at about $18 million in obligations for supporting that command. Now, the services that FLC actually offers here, we have our shipping and receiving, transportation, warehouse distribution. We have a postal service. We have our household goods office for those members that are coming and going from the commands. To help them out with their personal belongings and help them move into that base housing that Commander just mentioned. And then there's also a fuel farm here on base to provide all those aircraft with the necessary fuel to do their operations. So the staffing that we have here at our warehouses. So I guess the business opportunities that I could talk about. It's a whole organization of managers, supervisors, the people who work in the warehouse. We have our system operators, the folks that actually do the nitty gritty by managing inventories and accounting for supplies and things like that. So here on base, we have a warehouse where we actually stock the shelves with those materials that the supporting commands, lieutenant commands would be using. We also, so the hazmat facility, hazardous waste and hazardous materials, FLC also manages that here. So everything from paints to adhesives, the things that these commands will be using to maintain their aircraft and their facilities, they can get them here from us. And so FLC will coordinate those materials, the shipping and transportation of them. As Commander and Mr. Smith mentioned earlier, contracts do play into FLC as well. We're working contracts to do lighting projects in our warehouse and a variety of other constructions that go on in our facilities. So if those opportunities are things that you're interested in, then definitely reach out and we'll help you make those connections. So those are the services that we provide here. I hope I answered any questions. If you do have more, just throw them up there in the QA, and we'll continue on. Thank you. Next slide.
Thank you both for the presentation, and we do have some questions rolling in. Because we have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, we're going to hold all questions until then. And we'll respond to them accordingly. So Ms. Wilson, you put a question in the Q&A. Can you expand upon that question so that when we return to this in about 2 hours, we'll know who to address it to at that time? So next up, I'm excited to introduce to you Ms. Destiny White. She is our Public Affairs Officer here in the Office of Small Business Programs, and she's going to talk to you about all the great things she's been doing with our website, social media, our YouTube channel. But before we get there, I just want to annotate that the slides will be made available on our website. You'll see them posted there after this presentation. And then also we posted in the chat the agenda. So you should have a copy of the agenda in the chat. And Destiny will touch on how you can find out more information about the recordings. So with that, Miss Destiny White.
Hello. All right, so most of my information is going to be done via demo. So what I will do is show you our website. Really simple. Even if you just go to the website and Google Dawn OSBP, the first thing that's going to pop up is our website, making it super simple for you to access everything that you need to access to find anything. Our social media also pops up, our Twitter, our Facebook, and the YouTube page that Mr. Smith spoke about. But what I'm going to show you is our website. It is here to help small businesses as well as small business professionals do business with the Navy. It has a plethora of tools that you can use to get started. And one of the ones that Mr. Smith mentioned is if you haven't done business with the Navy and the first thing that you need to do is find out what you need to do, you're going to go up here to the top and click on 10 steps to becoming procurement ready. This is going to lead you all the way through every single step that you need to have to do business with the Navy. It's very simple, easily designed. It has the links to everything that you need to get to step by step. And it'll also help you figure out where to get started if you haven't done any business at all with the Navy. Next, if you have done business with the Navy, you're going to want to utilize this here. So if we go back to the home page and you're fresh to our page before you subscribe to our mailing list, you're going to go up here to search what the Dawn buys. And any one of these will give you the information necessary to do business with the Navy. So for instance, if you want to see what NAICS were awarded, you'll click this, a spreadsheet will download. And once it opens, let's see if it's going to open. Once it opens, you're able to search everything. You're able to search everything that you need to find. Hold on, I will bring this over here. Need to share window. There you go. You're able to search everything that you need to find. You can search by UIC, by contracting officer, by NAICS, major command. Anything that you need to find is here on this spreadsheet. It's a very useful tool when doing business with the Navy. It's something that we refer to often to make sure that everyone is aware of everything that we have to offer. All right, back to the website. Next thing that you'll do is if you figure out what you want to sell and what we're buying, you're going to want to get in touch with your small business professional. That's what this tool is used for. You would click here, you would click on the state that you're in where you want to get in touch with somebody, we'll say California. And then down here is the name and information of all the small business professionals in your area, how to locate them, how to contact them, email, phone numbers, everything that you could ask for. So if you have questions, if you want to contact anyone, everything is located here. All right, moving right along. So next, I wanted to bring up a few things that Mr. Smith just discussed, which is all of our outreach. So here, if you go to outreach and past events, like RV said, everything will be available later, but this is where you're going to find the recordings as well as the links to any documents that were given while you were at the event. You click on the page, you click here to view the webinar. This is the brief that was given. If there's any pertinent information with regards to speakers, that's listed here as well. Clicking this will bring you to our YouTube page. Again, another amazing tool that you have for doing business with the, you don't need to see all that, doing business with the Navy. So if you go to our YouTube page, all right. It will bring up all of our information that all of the webinars that we've had, everything that we've done, any question that you could possibly have would be listed here in our YouTube channel. Everything that is in past events that has a link is up on our YouTube channel. So if you wanted to do business with DISA, if you wanted to learn about the Mentor Protege program, there's something coming up later on that. If you wanted to learn about facility clearances, everything here is listed with regards to our webinars and all of our past events. So if you have if there is an event coming up, this is going to be your most useful tool. Subscribing to our mailing list. This is going to give you all of the information that we have with events coming up as with regards to industry days, if there is upcoming procurements, agency partnerships that we may have, anything that we're doing, any PTACs we're speaking with. All of these mailings come out once a week. It's a really simple thing to fill out, and we don't obviously sell your information. Once a week, you'll get information on everything that is coming in the upcoming week. They usually come out on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So if you want to know what's happening, if you have any questions about what's going on, please feel free to drop us an email, and we can give you more information on that. We can elaborate on anything. We also have things posted to our social media. You can find things there as well. I think that is just about it with regards to the website. If you ever had questions, if you wanted to see what we had coming up, if you wanted to know what's coming down the pipeline, if you had an idea for an upcoming webinar, or there was an agency you wanted to speak to, this is my contact information. You can reach me here, and look forward to talking with you. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation.
So just to piggyback on what Destiny pointed out early on was the 10 steps to being procurement ready. We are just very close to having a video that we will be sharing on our website and on our YouTube channel as well, with walking you through how to be procurement ready, not with just the Department of Navy, Department of Defense, but with the federal government as a whole. So thank you, Destiny, for that information, and anything that maybe you're looking for us to update on our website, any feedback, Destiny is your point of contact for that. So next up, we have Ms. Joan Rubin. She is the director for the Nevada Procurement Technical. Oh, I'm sorry. Next up, I apologize, I jumped ahead. We have Ms. Consuelo Farner, who is the Carson City District Support Specialist at the Small Business Administration. So Consuelo, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for introducing. So my name is Consuelo Farner. I work for the Nevada District Office. I am assisting the 8A Business Development Program, as well as helping answering questions and inquiries about SBA certifications. And with me is our Deputy District Director for the Nevada District Office, Mr. Saul Ramos, and he will be also doing the presentation later on in the next few slides. So he will be talking about the COVID relief assistance for SBA District Office. Next slide, please. I will give you a short background of who are we and what we do. SBA is an independent agency of the federal government to aid, counsel, assist, and protect the interests of small business concerns, and to maintain and strengthen the overall economy of the nation. So SBA fulfills its mission by providing loan guarantees, government contracts, financial counseling, and other forms of assistance to small businesses that is an organized for-profit has a place of business in the United States, operates primarily within the United States, independently owned and operated, either a sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, or an LLC. On the next slide, please, I will talk about more on SBA. Okay, so how SBA works. So SBA assists small business owners with resources and support they need to start, grow, and expand their businesses, as well as recover from related disaster. By providing them financial counseling, assist them in the government contracts, loan guarantees, and other types of support to small businesses. So I want to go back to the loan guarantees. That means that if the borrower defaults, SBA will cover the portion of the loan of the outstanding balance. So that is mean by the loan guarantee. SBA does not provide direct loans to small business. However, SBA set the standards of the loans. And on the next slide, please. Okay, and here I'm showing you the graph of the targeted set aside and acquisition goals by the federal agency. So federal government. So as we know, the federal government is the largest buyers of product and services in the whole world. So they spend about $600 billion a year to fulfill this goals. I mean, actually, this is not a goal, but it's a goal, but it's not a law. So the government and the Small Business Administration Office of the Government Contracting collaborates with the federal departments and agencies to guarantee that 23% of this set-aside contract goes to small business. So the federal government has an annual budget of over 500 billion in contracts for services and supplies. So as I mentioned, it is a goal, but it's not a law. So that 23% of that budget is set aside for all small businesses. Within a small business category, there are specific targets to certain socio-economic types. So here on the slide, I'm showing you the targeted set-aside contracts and acquisition goals by the federal agency. So SBA provide 4 certifications to small businesses, and we will discuss that later on my next slide. So this is how they divided all those 23%. So 5% of that set aside goes to women-owned small businesses. 5% will go to small business disadvantage and the 8A and 8A certified firms. 3% goes to HUD zone businesses, and another 3% goes to service disabled veteran. So on the next slide, please, I will talk about the different kinds of SBA program certifications. So one of the certification is the 8A Business Development Program. Another one is HUD Zone, Women-Owned Small Business, Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Businesses. It is very important for small businesses to know that by getting either one of the SBA program certification will give them advantage to bid government contracts from the federal government through that set-asides that they put together. So for the 8A Business Development Program, this program assists in the development of small businesses owned and operated by individuals who are socially and economically disadvantaged, such as women and minorities. And according to SBA Act, members of the following groups are presumed to be socially disadvantaged, like the Native Americans, African Americans, Asian Pacific, Hispanic Americans, and other members of the groups. So that's for the 8A. And also I want to mention that this is the 8A Business Development Program is a 9-year program, which the small business, when they're certified, they will be with us for the next 9 years. Another one is the Hub Zone. I will just give like a brief information what is this certification means. So Hub Zone is a historically underutilized business zone. This program targets firms located in a Hub Zone area, and SBA determines where the location of that. And we also have a map on our website where you can check if your business is in that specific map. So next one is the woman-owned small business. So if you're a woman and you're a minority and you own small business, then you're qualified to apply for this certification as well. Same thing with service disabled veteran-owned small business. You have to be a service disabled, retired veteran to apply for this certification. So all of these program certifications that we offer, the small business can be able to go to our website. So these are all handled by, pretty much handled by SBA. So each of this certification, if you go to our website under federal contracting, you can just click each of the link of this certification, and it will give you more details and more comprehensive information, and the requirements, the qualification, and all that you will find out from there. Okay, and then next slide, please. So here is the benefits. I want to talk more on the 8A Business Development Program, because I think this is one of the for me, this is the best certification that you can get with this certification. So I will go over on that more, the benefits. So one of them is you can compete for set aside and sole source contracts. So there's two kind of set asides contracts. It's a competitive and a sole source. So competitive, most of the government contracts is issued as a competitive contract. So when you say competitive contracts, that means when there's at least 2 small businesses or more that could perform the work or provide products and being purchased. Whereas the sole source contracts is kind of different, because the government can, directly offer this to a certain 8A firm. So that's why it is very important to be that you can get this certification, because this certification is the only certification that can get this direct offer from the government. So also one of the benefits, if you are 8A certified, so you can get the sole source contract where where the government can offer it directly to an 8A firm without going through the long process, like the solicitation and the bidding process. So for example, like if you're an 8A certified, you can be awarded up to $4.5 million. I think used to be it was 4 million, but now they increase it to $4.5 million. And if you are an 8A certified, if you're a tribally owned firm or an ANC or HNO, you can also receive an award up to $25 million. and up to $100 million, and if comes from the Department of Defense. Okay, and then and other benefits would be you can get a business opportunity specialist to help navigate federal contracting. Sometimes if you are, you're new in the 8A program, it could be a challenge for you and how to navigate all this. So if you have a business opportunity specialist, you can have a direct communication with the BUS, and as well as you can build a relationship with them. You can email them, you can text them, you can call them directly if you have any other questions, or if you have problems, or if you want to, get hold of like a contracting officer that you want to, talk to. So we can be able. So as for now, I am helping the business opportunities specialist workloads. So I get a lot of calls or emails every day, and I'm always, there for them to, assist and help them to be able to navigate to the federal contracting and other business needs they have. Another benefits would be you can form a joint venture with another small business had already established businesses. So you can borrow their we call it borrow. So you can borrow them their past performance and experience, and you can also went for a larger contract because you can also get assistance from them, like capital or other human resources or accounting help. So that's another benefits on being on the 8A business development program. And of course, you can receive technical training assistance, including business training, counseling, marketing assistance, and high level of executive development through our resource partners that offer these sources, like the Small Business Development Center, PTAC. I think PTAC is with us today, so she can also talk about that more, that we partner with them. Okay, and then next slide, please. 8A program qualification and eligibility. So this is some of the qualification. So be a small business, must be for-profit business, at least the business concern own 51% and controlled by a US citizen who are socially and economically disadvantaged. Native Americans qualify as a socially disadvantaged. So you have a personal net worth of $700,000 or less, or adjusted gross income of $350,000 or less, and you have to have a 6 million or less in assets. Must be a disadvantaged person, of course, and a primary owner, and demonstrate a good character and potential to perform on contracts. Next slide, please. So if I miss something here, or you didn't understood quite well what I'm talking about, you can also go to our website, and we will leave our contact number at the end of this presentation. So you can call me directly, or you can email us. No problem. We can get back to you. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is the workshop and technical assistance provided by the Office of the Native American Affairs. So they offer two kinds of workshops. So that it's the Native American Entrepreneurial Workshop and the Tribal Enterprise Workshop, which is provided through the Red Wind and Sister Company. So we partner with them to provide this workshop to the Native American. So this training provide comprehensive information on topics to aspiring entrepreneurs, on small business owners related to business planning, access to capital, basic bookkeeping, human resources, problem solving, and other marketing strategy. Also, the Office of the Native American Affairs offers free technical assistance provided through the Two River Community Development Corporation. So the Two River Community Development Corporation provides technical assistance that will be based knowledge on the SBA 8A program and standard operating procedures, also tribal ordinances and knowledge of working with tribal community. So that on the next slide, please. So I just want to highlight about the SBA Procurement Center representative and the business opportunity specialist rules in the SBA. So another resource partner for SBA is the Procurement Center representative, and they work for the Office of the Government Contracting, and they help the federal to attain their agency business goal. And they're also a great source for our 8A firm because they are expert in the federal government contracting. So you can even call them or set up a meeting with them to give you more guidance and assistance about how to navigate the federal contracting. So they have access to all of them, where sometimes, even though those procurement is not yet coming out or posted on their federal website, they already knew what is coming. So you can, so the Procurement Center representative is a great source for 8A firm to, ask advice or some guidance from them. Also, the BOS, as I mentioned earlier, I'm helping the business opportunity specialist responsibility as for now. So we work for the SBA office field of operations at a district office. We focus more on delivering SBA-wide variety of programs to help small businesses in local communities. SBA District Office delivers SBA loan and economic development with state, local agency and organizations or chambers. Next slide, please. I will stop on slide 29, and I hope that you learned something about SBA programs and certifications and see the benefits and how SBA can help small businesses and how small businesses can take advantage of the SBA resources and other training assistance provided to them. So if you have any more questions than that, you can visit our website, and here's our information there. And you can call directly. That's my phone number there. So I'm putting that out. And on the next slide, Mr. Saul Ramos, our Deputy District Director, will talk about more on the COVID relief program for SBA, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So take it away, Saul.
Hey, Consuelo, thank you so much. Appreciate the great information that you provided. Thanks to the Department of Navy, Mr. Jimmy Smith, Commander Scott, and everyone on here for making this happen. I think we've done a great collaboration, and I really hope that everyone is taking some practical information from what we're sharing. I'm not going to go a long time talking about this. It really is just an opportunity for us to share with everyone some of the programs that we have on the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. You heard Consuelo mention earlier that SBA is not a direct lender, and that's certainly accurately. Right now, during the pandemic, SBA has kind of shifted gears and is becoming the direct lender per se for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So let me just go through it. As you see on the screen, I mean, I'm not going to read through every single thing, but the biggest takeaway here is that if you are a business that started prior to February 1st, 2020, and are either self-employed, sole proprietor, have less than 500 employees, you certainly can apply for this loan. Right now, the loan size has actually increased up to $2 million. I know on the screen it says between 25 to 500, but just as of yesterday afternoon, they increased it up to 2 million. There are a few collateral requirements, as you would see on the screen. And again, the biggest takeaway is that it is a 30-year term at a 3.75 for small businesses and a 2.75 for nonprofits. You certainly are welcome to apply, and you would do so through sba.gov. There is a formula, as you can see, that you will need to make sure, and I want to emphasize this so much. When you are submitting the application for the EIDL, you want to make sure that you are accurately posting the annual cost of goods sold and the annual revenues. Why? Because depending on what you put in is what the loan amount will be. Now, please note that the SBA will determine how much you qualify. It is not the type of scenario where you say, hey, I want up to $2 million. SBA is going to tell you this is how much you qualify, and it's going to be done through your SBA portal. If you can go on to the next slide, please. Some of the common questions that we are getting, and believe me, we're getting hundreds of calls and questions through our district office. And I just want to take a quick note to really thank the team, the Nevada SBA team, because they are doing their best and to keep up with all these inquiries. But let's just first start off with the first question. Where do you apply? Very simple, sba.gov /EIDL. What we're seeing as well is those that did apply for some reason or unfortunate reason were denied, right? So what should you do if you've been incorrectly denied? You can certainly appeal the decision. On the decline letter, you will see an explanation. Sometimes the explanations may not be that clear, and that's where our district office is helping to support that, along with that customer service number listed on the bottom. So pdcrecons@sba.gov is the best way to do. I will tell you that some of the errors that we're seeing quite a lot is certainly that perhaps they didn't include the cost of goods sold and the annual revenue accurately, or there is a form called 4506T that you must complete. And the purpose for that form is for the SBA to request your tax transcripts. Well, when folks are completing that form, we're seeing either typos on the name or the address, or perhaps they moved and they didn't include the correct address. So word of caution there, and I ask that please double check it. Make sure that the 4506T form is completed correctly. That will help tremendously. So those are folks that unfortunately were denied or incorrectly denied. That's a process to take. What if you want to request an increase? So we did go in certain different waves, and I'll call it the first wave of last year is when we approved loans up to 150,000. So that was last year. Earlier this year, we increased it to 500,000. So folks that got maxed out at the 150, they certainly can apply up to 500. So that's the second wave, if you want to call it. The third wave that we're seeing is going to be up to $2 million. Now, one quick note, if you have not received your decision on the $500,000, we strongly encourage you to wait until that decision is made and decided on. What we don't want you to do is to submit duplicate applications. If you submit duplicate applications, it's only going to confuse the system, confuse the folks that are reviewing. We're trying to, of course, prevent as much fraud as possible. So please wait for your decision and then take the next step. As you see on the bottom, there is a phone number, customer service number that you certainly can call, and they'll be able to assist you as well. Consuelo mentioned our information. That's for the Nevada District Office, pretty much for all the businesses in Nevada. If you're having any issues, you're welcome to reach out to us as well. But please also keep in mind that there is that customer service number mentioned below. So let's, move on to the next slide. It might be. Consuelo mentioned earlier a abundance of resource partners that are available. She mentioned SBDC, which stands for Small Business Development Center, SCORE, which is the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, PTAC, which you would hear more in a few minutes. So this is just a quick slide to tell you how you can find either our district office or our resource partners. Very simple. Go to sba.gov, click on Local Assistance tab, type in your either city, state, or zip code, and click search, and you'll find an abundance of resource partners. Next slide. And as Consuelo mentioned, here's our information. Again, we hope that you have really taken away a lot of good practical information. Consuelo mentioned a lot of great stuff. She's done a great support in helping us sustain our 8A program while we navigate the 8A business development program. So again, I know we're a little bit running behind, so I really want to thank the Department of the Navy and all the folks here that allowed us this opportunity. Thank you very much, and I hope you all learned something from the SBA.
Thank you, Saul, and thanks to Consuelo also for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. We do have a couple questions for you, but we'll save those until the end. So thanks again. So next up, we've been partnering, my office, particularly Mr. Smith, has been partnering with the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, and great opportunity here for you to hear from Ms. Joan Rubin. She is the director of the Nevada's Procurement Technical Assistance Center, I believe in the Las Vegas area. So Ms. Joan, over to you. Welcome.
Right. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Joan Rubin. I'm the director of the Nevada Procurement Technical Assistance Center, also known as the PTAC, and we are a procurement outreach program. We are housed within the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development for the great state of Nevada. Next slide, please. So many of you might have a question in terms, what is the Nevada PTAC? So we are actually a taxpayer-funded resource to help businesses just like yours to pursue local, state, and federal government contracting and subcontracting opportunities. And there is no charge for our services. And we are so proud that the U.S. Department of Defense, specifically through the Defense Logistics Agency, or DLA, actually helps to fund the Nevada PTAC and all its sister PTACs across our great nation. Next slide, please. So in terms of our service area, we actually service every county within the state of Nevada. So long as your business actually has a primary and physical location in Nevada, you can actually apply to become a Nevada PTAC client. And the process would actually be completing a client questionnaire form that is available on our website, which we'll get to later. And so we want to help businesses, again, go after those local, state, federal government contracts, whether they are inside or outside of Nevada. So whether you're pursuing business in Las Vegas, Reno, Washoe County, Clark County, federal government within Nevada, whether it's Department of Energy, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, what have you, we are here to help. So when it comes to our PTAC goals, we want to increase the number of companies, but especially the small businesses within our state, to actually do business with the government at all levels. Again, that's local, state, and federal, but it's also helping those businesses go after potentially supplier or subcontracting opportunities under the government's prime contractors. We want to help our Nevada businesses improve upon marketing skills for their prime contract and subcontract opportunities, again, across all government agencies. Again, anything from NASA, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, you name it. And we want to, in the end, help the American taxpayer, as we know, competitive procurements typically will translate to the most competitive pricing that you can find in the competitive marketplace. So we always want to help the American taxpayer in the end. And lastly, we want to help businesses scale by winning government contracts and those subcontracts, because as those companies scale, they can actually create jobs, keep jobs, and diversify our Nevada economy outside of traditional business sectors, such as hospitality, gaming, and tourism. So we've actually seen, for example, so many PTACs, whether it's through the Great Recession or now through the pandemic, so many businesses have contacted the PTAC and said, if it wasn't for their diversifying outside of their private sector business portfolio and into the public sector, they might not have survived the Great Recession, or they might not be even surviving during this current pandemic. So public contracting for them is working. Next slide, please. So I want to go over the number of no-charge services that our PTAC actually provides. And this is the PTAC team, which is 6 team members strong. So we do provide one-on-one counseling. So your business would actually be assigned a government contracts advisor or counselor to actually give you that individualized and tailored, business consulting as you go after government contracts and subcontracts. You're also going to get a monthly electronic newsletter, which has so much information to include, for example, success stories of our existing PTAC clients. It might even cover, for example, cybersecurity requirements that you actually see in U.S. Department of Defense solicitations. Next, when it comes to, for example, webinars, we do try to do webinars each month on a variety of topics where we feature, for example, a government agency, or we even might feature one of our team members who actually has, government-related experience. We do hold networking events, especially for our official clients. We've heard such great feedback from our clients who participated in these networking events that we hold virtually because of the pandemic, where they're actually able to meet with other business owners for potential traditional prime contractor, subcontractor relationships as they pursue government business, again, whether it's local, state, or federal. When it comes to the capability statement, I do want to say, if you have a high quality final draft of your capability statement, or what is known as the business's resume, which actually showcases what exactly it is you sell, goods or services wise, and you want those second set of eyes to give you constructive feedback and criticism, please come to the Nevada PTAC because we can help make sure you're hitting everything that you need to include in a capability statement, because a lot of times that is the first impression that a government team member might actually get of your business. When it comes to bid matching services, we actually have a capability through the PTAC to actually provide you every weekday a download of solicitations for the local, state, and federal levels of any solicitation that has to do with NAICS codes that are tied to your specific business, keywords, phrases. And so these are things that we can actually help with as you pursue these government opportunities at the local, state, and federal levels. We can actually help with certification information. Maybe you would like to dig deeper in knowing exactly, what are the requirements for whether it's the 8A certification offered through the SBA or any of its other certifications offered through the SBA. We can actually help with that. We can help with registration, information or walkthroughs to include the federal government system for award management, We have so many team members that are well-versed and experienced with getting our clients, especially the small businesses, through a very cumbersome system. Also, we can actually help your business think about the considerations if you're interested in pursuing a U.S. General Services Administration or a GSA contract, so that you're not just selling, for example, your goods and services to, say, one federal government agency, but why not sell them to multiple government agencies, especially as resources are scarce. Next, when it comes to solicitations, if you are interested, for example, in a solicitation that you receive, and it's from, say, Nellis Air Force Base, and you are wondering, for example, some of the considerations you should think about as you pursue this specific solicitation and opportunity, you can actually come to the PTAC to actually get some counseling and advice on maybe what some of the clauses that are included in the solicitation. Maybe you might need to know what it would mean if you ultimately win the contract and what are your legal obligations, to actually perform to that actual eventual contract should you win it. When it comes to proposal reviews, if a business has their final draft of their proposal and then within a reasonable time frame before a proposal is due to a government agency, we can actually help to actually review the proposal, but there could be parts, because we are not a subject matter expert in certain areas or an industry, we could actually just provide guidance and counseling on the PTAC part, but we can refer you to an actual resource partner, for example, especially the Sierra Accelerator and Growth for Entrepreneurship or SAGE resource, which can actually help with if you're pursuing the Small Business Innovation Research or the Small Business Technology Transfer federal government programs. And so we do work with a number of resource partners to include SAGE that can help with those technical aspects of our proposal. Next, we can actually help with, I'm sorry, not next slide, previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. Stay right there. Thank you so much. When it comes to winning a contract, and say, for example, you've won the contract and potentially there could be certain contractual issues or administration issues you want to talk over with someone because of our team's capabilities and direct experience, you can actually come and talk to your advisor, or there's reach back capability within the organization to talk to, not just your advisor, but to other team members on the PTAC organization. I did also want to share, we do also help businesses with your non-traditional procurement. So when it comes to, for example, the U.S. Department of Defense does actually have certain business transactions that are not subject to the Federal Acquisition Regulation, or FAR. And these opportunities we call other transaction agreements, or OTs, also known as OTAs. We actually can help with those. And we can actually help with regard to the SBIR and STTR programs that I mentioned earlier. We can actually help with grants. Because of the federal government, certain programs, specifically SBIR and STTR, certain federal government agencies will only ultimately award a contract, but there's other federal government agencies that will only ultimately award grants. But we at the PTAC, it is part of our capabilities to actually help with those areas. Next slide, please. So I just want to give some data on the contracting landscape. So when it comes to the federal government fiscal year 20 that just ended September 30th of 2020, where we actually have data So the U.S. Government's Accountability Office is actually showing on their website that the government contract spend at the federal level was more than $665 billion, which is an increase of over $70 billion from the previous fiscal year 19. And the data does show that half of the 70 billion was related to COVID-19 medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. Next slide, please. And so when it comes to the contract spend, around $146 billion went to small businesses, and this information is according to the SBA's website through their press releases. And the federal government did exceed their 23% small business contracting goal for FY20, which is fantastic. Next slide, please. When it comes to federal government prime contractor awards, we're talking $83 billion in subcontracts went to small businesses. Again, this is according to the SBA. And so what we're trying to share via these slides is that is such a lucrative, market to be diversifying outside of the private sector and into the public sector and trying to get those government contracts and subcontracts. Next slide, please. When it comes to your SLED market, which is state government, local government, and education government, those contracting opportunities, according to Deltec, that is $1 trillion a market as we think of all those government agencies and school districts. Next slide. So we do have some upcoming events. I did want to share that I'm proud to announce that on September 15th, it's the annual National PTAC Day, where Nevada PTAC and its sister PTACs share this awesome annual day as we celebrate small businesses and their achievements in the government contracting markets. And the next slide, please. And I did want to show here the Nevada PTAC's webpage, and this is the entire Nevada PTAC team, where we have team members in the state capitol, in Carson City, and also in Las Vegas. And I'm so proud to be part of a great team of fellow public servants. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Joan. Wealth of information there. We're going to keep it going with the PTACs and have Ms. Vanessa Gleach join us to talk about the American Indian Chamber Education Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Over to you, Vanessa.
Okay, thank you, Arvis. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Joan. She did a very good overview of what PTACs do. Next slide. My name is Vanessa Gleach. Sorry, I should have introduced myself earlier. My name is Vanessa Gleach. I'm a program manager for the American Indian Chamber Education Fund, PTAC. I'm Oke-Wenge, so I'm from one of the northern one tribe in northern New Mexico, and we are classified as a Native American PTAC. So the difference between Native American PTACs and state PTACs is that our client base is specific to working with Native American businesses and tribal enterprises, Alaska Native Corporation, and Native Hawaiian organizations. We provide assistance with federal, state, local, and tribal government contracting. There are 12 Bureau of Indian Affairs regions throughout the United States, including Alaska, and it is those BI regions that we service. And just as Joan had mentioned, we're all funded through in part through a cooperative agreement through Defense Logistics Agency. So our host is a nonprofit, and through our host, they match a percentage of federal dollars that we receive on an annual basis. There are 6 identified Native American PTACs throughout the United States. Our coverage area is quite large. And so in our BIA regions, which I'll go through later, we service tribes within those states. Next slide. one of our missions, through our host and through PTAC is to increase the number of American Indian small business, tribally owned organizations and ANCs seeking to do business with the government, whether it's through state, federal, tribal, local municipalities, even commercial, working, maybe working with the government isn't right for you at this time and you're growing into that federal market space. We also help working with the utility companies, also working with the state agencies, even working with large corporations if you want to be a subcontractor to a large prime. So we assist businesses in helping them to get their feet wet, but also to increase their capacity to perform, on federal contracts, but also to help them leverage their capabilities to perform on larger contracts. So a lot of our businesses that we've worked with have started out very small. They've gotten into certification programs and have grown either through the mentor protege program or through just teaming, forming teams with other companies to be able to fulfill a requirement. And we offer one-to-one counseling. We have 5 counselors, six, including myself. And one of the things that we found to be effective under our program is that we work, with the business. If they come to us, and just as Joan had mentioned, if they're wanting to know how to market to the government. So we help them to build their capability statement. It's a one-page resume of your business, but it's going to be specific on who it is that you're marketing that capability statement to. So if you're looking at working with the federal government, you're going to want to put all your federal experience. If you're working with the state, you want to put all your states. So you'll have multiple versions of one capability statement. Educational workshops and networking events. So a lot of the workshops that we've been providing during this pandemic has been how to leverage your company, how to improve your website. If you're doing virtual meetings, if you're trying to search for opportunities, just trying to identify who your target market may be, even trying to identify what an agency is buying, because it's important for you as a business to know, does that agency buy what I'm selling? Or do I have to diversify my business in order to capture work with that agency? Bid matching, the services that we provide for bid matching, it's all free. You tell us what you want, where you want to receive bid notices from. Is it going to be based on keywords? Is it going to be based on your NAICS codes? If everything is broken down, if there's things that you're receiving that aren't quite accurate as to what your company offers, we can make those modifications. It's not a perfect system. I don't think there really is a perfect system out there, but it comes pretty close to trying to match, what you're offering or what you're trying to sell, to the government. Registrations and certifications, we do a lot of registrations and certifications, especially helping people through the SAM registration, the new system that got launched in May. So, if you're trying to update your address in SAM, if you got locked out of SAM, or if maybe somebody who was the entity administrator and you no longer have access to your profile, we can help you with that process. Walking you through the entire process, even going through and updating your dynamic small business profile, which is the SBA's portal that agencies use for their market research. I can't emphasize enough that companies really need to put in their capabilities and their keywords, because I see when I go into a search, I'll see a list of 25 companies, and out of those 25 companies, only 30% actually tell what they do. The rest of them are blank. So if you leave it blank, contracting officer doesn't have the time to try to go to your website to figure out what you do. They're going to be looking at what your capabilities are. So it only benefits you as a small business to put that information in there. 8A certifications, we assist with the entire process, HubZone, GSA schedules. We also help businesses to understand whether or not getting on a GSA schedule is right for them, because it is a marketing tool, but it's something that you have to maintain and make sure that you're marketing that. Also understanding the AA process. a lot of companies may say, I want to get 8A, but you know, is there a market for you? Is this the right time for you to enter into that program? HubZone, I can't emphasize enough. If you meet the requirements, you should get HubZone certified, because that certification, as long as you meet the requirements, you will stay in it. There is no time limit like the 8A certification, where it's a 9-year program. HubZone, as long as you meet the requirements, you can be. I've had companies that are HubZone certified for over 15 years. So, you know, that's a good certification to have. Service disabled veteran owned, we also assist businesses with that. Assistance with interpreting solicitations. Just as Joan had mentioned, we will look at a solicitation, break it down for you. We don't write your technical, we don't do your pricing, but we can review it to make sure that you met the requirements of how they're going to evaluate that your proposal, but also to look to see that you follow those instructions. You know, did you meet the page limitation? Did you package it correctly? You know, so we can provide you a guide. You know, but still, it's ultimately left up to you as the business to make sure that you, you know, meet those requirements and, you know, send it off to that contracting officer or that contracting office. Marketing to the government. This, we don't market on your behalf to an agency. What we will do, and what our program will do, is if we find a source of sought notice, especially if it's coming from HHS or BIA, what we will do is we will send it out to all qualified Native American businesses in our service territory and say, hey, here's something that was posted as a source of sought. I think you should respond to it. But like I said, ultimately, it's up to the business whether or not they want to respond, because what we're trying to do is trying to get it set aside as either by Indian, woman-owned, service disabled veteran-owned, 8A, you know, whatever certification that you have. You know, that's really what you're trying to do, is trying to narrow the market or the competition of who you're going to be competing against. And then also all areas of federal contracting, you know, we can assist you as far as, you know, SBIR, STTR, the application process, which are grants. We can also help you if you're looking at something that maybe the instructions aren't clear. You know, what is your next process? You know, looking to say, hey, you need to submit your questions by this date. And if it's not after that date, it's really up to the contracting officer whether or not they want to post those. You know, if you're questioning the due date, maybe there's not enough time, you know, that we can help you, you know, to send a request to the contracting officer asking for an extension. Not guaranteeing they will extend it, but, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask. You don't ask, you know, you'll never know. So those are things that we can help you as a PTAC. Next slide. Our service territory, we service 3 BIA regions, Bureau of Indian Affairs. This is what I talked about. The Northwest region, which encompasses Washington, the state of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, the Pacific BIA region, which is the whole state of California, the Western BIA region, which is Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. There are 201 federally recognized tribes in our service territory. We also assist state recognized tribes in addition, and I didn't include those in here, but those are also part of our territory. And in those 3 BIA regions, we also service Native Hawaiian organizations. And of course, there's ANC businesses, you know, that have offices within those 3 BIA regions. We have 4 office locations. I'm actually in Chandler, Arizona. We have our main office in Huntington Beach, California, and then we have an office in Richland, Washington, and one in Roseburg, Oregon. So next slide. One of the things that makes PTACs a little unique in comparison to the state PTACs is that we understand the laws and certifications that are specific to Native American businesses and tribal enterprises and Alaska Native corporations. And this, mainly with tribal enterprises and Alaska Native corporations, it's about the infrastructure and how they're set up, because they can be in the 8A program multiple times. But the way that they either set up, incorporate under Section 17, or they may be incorporated under the state, or just looking at how their actual organizational chart works. So there's special requirements that pertain to them. They're actually classified as an entity-owned organization. So those are things that we can help a businesses with, which is a little bit different than what the state PTACs do. We're experienced and knowledgeable in the Buy Indian Act, which is actually a law, but it's now one of the things is that the Native American PTACs, we held a outreach with Bureau of Indian Affairs, and what it resulted in was that we're trying to make changes to the requirement, or to the regulation, trying to increase the amount of contracts that are being awarded to Native American businesses. Just like service disabled veteran-owned businesses working with the VA, you service Native American, so they should be your first preference of buying. That's one thing that we've been, trying to spearhead and trying to, increase. So right now, I know with Indian Health Services under HHS, I think it's closed now, but there was some changes that were open for comment. So there'll be some changes coming down the pipeline within the next, I would think probably within the next year or two. We also get into the Indian Incentive Program, which is under Department of Defense. Through this program, businesses can receive a 5% rebate, but I'll get more into that in the later slides. Also, the tribal procurement process, when you're trying to work with tribes. And then strategic partnerships, we have a lot of businesses that look at joint venturing or even mentoring tribal enterprises or tribal enterprises mentoring themselves or other enterprises that they own. So those are what we're talking about as far as strategic partnerships, just how to align your company to actually capture more opportunities. Next slide. Second thing is that understanding how sovereignty can affect the procurement on reservations. When you're working on a reservation, you have to understand the rules and regulations that each tribe has. They're unique in their own process and what they've set up. So those are things that we can help businesses to understand, not meaning that we can tell a tribe who to buy from or how to award a contract, but just basically the understanding of what their process is and how they work. So that's basically how we can help you. Respecting and understand the culture when you're working with Native American businesses, just being respectful and understanding that process. That's, one thing that we can help you with. And then we also we partner with state PTACs. So we do have a good relationship when we're putting events together. This is a good example, working with Joan's office. And since I'm here in Arizona, I work quite a bit with the Arizona PTAC, and then we work with the Washington PTAC up in Washington State, Jeremy does. So we do have a good relationship with state PTACs when we're partnering on events together. Next slide. Here's the Indian Incentive Program that I talked about. Now, it's a DFAR clause 252.226-7001. One of the requirements is that if you have this FAR clause in your DoD contract, that a subcontractor that's Native American owned, the prime can receive up to a 5% rebate on that subcontracted value. Now, what we can do is we can help you to understand what the requirements are, when you can submit a request for the 5%, can't be within 90 days of a subcontract award. If the procurement is being challenged, of course, you can't submit, reimbursement. And then also, whether or not your subcontractor is eligible, because there have been times where subcontractors aren't eligible to receive the Indian incentive or the 5% rebate. And in order to be a qualified vendor to meet that 5%, you have to be at least 51% Native American owned, manage and control the business that have majority ownership in. So, there's things that we can help with to help you understand that. We help businesses that maybe not know how to submit the paperwork to receive the rebate. We also can work with the prime to help them understand, the FAR clause. So it's a little bit more in depth. We have a lot of information that we can share, with businesses on the Indian Incentive Program. Next slide. Buy Indian Act. So this act, which is a public law, 25 US Code, United States Code 47, this is one thing now that a lot of businesses are probably seeing is they now have what they call an ISB set aside. It's Indian Small Business Economic Enterprise. And there is no certification currently to be ISB certified. And basically it's based on that you're an enrolled member from a federally recognized tribe, you own 51% of the company, you manage and control the entity, meaning you have total management and control, just like the AA program certification, just like service disabled veteran owned, just like the women owned small business certification. So you have to, if challenged, you're going to have to prove that you meet all those requirements. Indian Health Services and BIA currently are the only two agencies that are utilizing Buy Indian, even though it's a public law and other agencies should be using Buy Indian. Currently, only these two agencies have a set-aside program. So one thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to make it a measurable goal for these agencies, because if it's not a goal, then it's basically up to the discretion of the agency whether or not they want to use this set-aside. So that's one thing that the Native American PTACs are working with BIA and Indian Health Services to implement. They are posting more ISB set-asides, and like I said, they're doing more market research to identify qualified Native American-owned firms that can bid or fulfill requirements that they have advertised. Next slide. Tribal procurement process. Now, just so you understand, each tribe has a unique and different procurement process. And I always have to emphasize this to everybody or anyone who wants to do business with the tribe. They have developed their own process, and it's whatever their tribal council, whatever their infrastructure has decided to set up as their process. My recommendation is that you understand what that process is, because if you don't understand that process, meaning that you have to obtain the tribal business license, there may be a tax that you have to, that's going to be imposed on a contract that you're performing on. You may have to work with a TARO office, Tribal Employment Rights Ordinance or office that you may be required to do. So just ensure that if you're doing business, with the tribe or even performing on a federal contract that is going to be on tribal land, that you understand what those requirements are, and how you'll be, paid, how your invoices are going to be submitted. Like I said, we can help you to understand the process, but we can't go to a tribe and say, that you need to get paid. Just like when you're working with the government, we can't go to that agency and say, well, you need to pay this contractor. It's the same thing. So all we can do is help you to understand, maybe what the hiccups are of why you're not being paid. There may be disagreement on an invoice, and that's for you to, work out with the tribe. Same thing with you to work out with, the government. So it's the same process, but that's why I say, just make sure that you understand, when you're working with a tribe, what that process is. And I can't always emphasize that you always, should be respectful and patient with working with tribes or with working with anyone, even when you're working with the government. Be respectful. We're all people and we all have feelings. And so, I always tell my businesses, you have to be patient. Sometimes you're not going to get the answer you always want to hear, but there's always ways to approach an issue. And one thing I do tell businesses is that if you're performing on a contract and you're not meeting those deadlines, always follow up with that contracting officer to let them know what the issue may be, what your corrective action is, and how it will, when it will be resolved. Communication is the greatest and the best key for any business to have with the end user, because that's what's going to help you as far as getting great CPARs, getting great past performance, just that open communication, especially not only with your, the end user, the government or tribe or state or local municipalities, but also with your subcontractors. Make sure that you have that communication with everyone. Next slide. Key points to think through. One of the things that I always tell businesses, understand the needs of the agency. It's not up to the agency to tell you what they buy. It's your responsibility. They gave good information about their website. They have YouTube videos. I think that's awesome. There's no excuse why a business shouldn't know how to do business with Department of Navy. So, there's a lot of information out there, especially if, you're marketing to an agency. Like we're here in Arizona at Luke Air Force Base, and I have IT companies that tell me, I need to get in there. I said, well, hold on. Luke Air Force Base doesn't buy IT services. So you really need to know what it is they're buying, what's being forecasted, and what primes you can work with, because that's going to help you as far as marketing your business and capturing more work. Know who your competition is. Who is it that you're competing against. We help our businesses that, maybe there's an advertised solicitation. First thing I do is I go, let me just look to see if there's an incumbent. And if there's an incumbent, what was the last awarded price? That helps you to understand where it was last awarded at, who that competition is, how long have they had that contract. And if it's going to be a facilities maintenance contract, you probably they know that agency, in and out, what the areas of what's going to take more time to clean, where the problem area is at. So that's why it's important for you to know your competition. Maybe that it was an 8A set aside and the incumbent is graduating out of the program. It might be a time for you to go in and introduce yourself. You're a new 8A company, maybe partnering with them, because the agencies probably like the work that they've done. And now they know that you're working with the incumbent, it might be giving you a leg up. So that's why I said, just knowing who your competition is, there's ways to team, partner, work with them, but also to understand how to set yourself apart or show why your company may be, have a step above what they've done. Maybe just understanding that maybe there's, you can respond, within a 24-hour period where it took them, 48 hours. Those are things that you need to understand. Have an understanding how the market will evolve. Nobody knew, the pandemic was going to happen, but we had a lot of businesses that really diversified their companies. There's, I think on our AppTech website, there's announcements of companies that were manufacturing that diversified into making PPE. So, take a look at, how the market will evolve. What is happening right now? What is being forecasted? How's the money flowing down? When are budgets being approved? That's what I'm, take a look at how things are going to be procured. Have your marketing tools available. I just went to an outreach event about 2.5 weeks ago in person, and I was really surprised. Only about 50% of the attendees had business cards or any marketing information. That's the first thing that you as a business should have. If you don't have a one-page capability statement or a brochure, at least have your business card, with your cage code on it, with your contact information, with your website, because they can always look that up. So make sure you have, some type of marketing tools readily available. You may be in a restaurant and you run into, contracting officer or, somebody that's looking for service, just chatting in general terms, always have your business cards available. Get to know what your resources that are available to you. I put the AppTech website on our AppTech website. We publicize, or they publicize, any events happening. They also publicize a lot of good information. They have all of the PTACs, that are throughout the entire United States. So if you're looking for a specific PTAC, you can click on that state, and it gives you all the contact information for that particular PTAC that's in your area. And then they also have a link to all the Native American PTACs and then our service territory that we cover. And right now, pretty much Alaska doesn't have it hasn't been designated as with the Native American PTAC. So any businesses that are located in Alaska, all the Native American PTACs are servicing them. So you can reach out to any Native American PTAC and we can definitely help you, especially if you're having issues with, you know, submitting an invoice in White-Air workflow or submitting an invoice in IPP, which is Department of Interior's portal for payment. Or if maybe you want training on how to update your SAM or looking at a GSA schedule or just performing market research, we can definitely assist you in that capacity. Okay, next slide. Here's our contact information with all our office locations, our website, and the territory that we service. And like I said, we do not, even though we're classified as a Native American PTAC, we don't deny services to any business that contacts our office. It's your taxpayer dollars. So what we'll do is we'll provide, you know, minimal information. You know, if they're wanting to know questions about SAM, we tell them, okay, this is where the website is. This is what, you know, how the process of getting started. You know, here's a sheet that goes through the step-by-step process. And then also here's the closest PTAC to where you're at. Because we're still, a lot of PTACs are still virtual. I'm actually in my office. I've been in my office since the pandemic started, but you know, I have the capability to close my, lock my door and close my office. So you know, we can help any business and answer any questions. So I'm always available to assist in any capacity, even if you're just looking for, you know, basic information. You can always email us, and you know, we'll you know, get you the information, you know, as soon as we can. Also, you know, we do have a calendar with our different events coming up, but also events that are happening, you know, like I think currently now the Hub Zone Conference in Navy Gold Coast, which is already passed, but any major events that are coming up, you know, we do have them on our calendar. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you, Vanessa, for that. It was a lot of great information there to share with our attendees. So I'm excited. This is the OSBP team, not just our small business office under Mr. Smith, but our small business professional workforce. We had a number of our small business directors and team members from out in the field that will be joining us and giving you a presentation about their small business programs at their organizations. But first up, we have our support contractor. The program manager for the Mentor Protege program is doing a rotation in another office. So we have someone that's acting in that role now, Mr. Christopher Parker, who is on leave this week. So thank you to Mr. Jerry Smith for joining us and giving an overview of the Mentor Protege program, the benefit to our attendees, and and providing them information on how they can get started. So over to you, Jerry.
Thank you so much, Ms. Washington. Good day to everyone in attendance, and I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you today about the Department of Navy's Mentor Protege program. I am the program analyst that supports Ms. Mercedes Thurston and Mr. Chris Parker. He's acting MVP while she's on rotation at the Office of Small Business Programs. Next slide, please. So what is the Mentor Protege program? It's a DoD pilot program that was established in November of 1990. It was implemented in the National Defense Authorization Act in FY91 and is administered in accordance with the DFARS 219-71 and Appendix I. The Mentor Protege program is designed to assist small business development, focusing on enhancing the protege's capacity to serve in the future as either a prime contractor or a subcontractor in the federal contracts space. The importance of small business in DoD: small businesses deliver performance with agility and affordability. It's imperative that the Department of Navy identifies small businesses,
startups, and non-traditional suppliers to contribute to the Department of Navy's efforts to modernize key capabilities. The Department of Defense MPP aligns with those needs. The Department of Navy's MPP program is a tool to establish, increase, and maintain a stronger, more capable small business industrial base that supports the warfighter. Now, let me also mention, there is another mentor protege program out there within the government. The Small Business Administration has an MPP program as well. It covers 5 different agencies: the Department of Energy, NASA, Department of Transportation, Department of Homeland Security, and the SBA itself. Now, they have 2 types of programs themselves: SBIR, SITR, and then they have another program that covers all the small businesses. They are administered by the Code of Federal Regulations, the CFR, and sometimes companies can confuse the 2 programs. They both focus on small business development and enhancing the protege's capabilities to serve as a prime or a sub, but they have different requirements for acceptance and type of work that can be contracted. I just wanted to mention that there were 2 types of programs, so there was no confusion. There are differences. There are different business opportunities in both MPP programs. You can have an active agreement within both programs simultaneously. They are separate and regulated and overseen by different agencies and different regulatory guidance. Ms. White is actually posting on the chat link right now the SBA's MPP link. So if anyone has any more in-depth questions regarding the SBA's MPP program, I've tried to provide that link in that website. It's very helpful, and it does have a good point of contact for the support there. Next slide. So the MPP program was reauthorized by the NDAA for FY20 and extended through September 30th, 2024. We were very excited to have the program reauthorized and extended through 2024. It's a big win for the Department of Defense, the Department of the Navy, and the small business industries. And as we were saying, the Department of Navy, MPP, is open for business. We're accepting new mentor protege agreement applications now and throughout the end of this fiscal year. Now, I know you're saying it's the 9th of September, it's like 21 days. But moving forward into FY22 and beyond, we are continuously looking for MPP efforts that focus in the areas of knowledge-based services, manufacturing, and research and development. We are in consistent communication with all of our small business directors of all 10 of our major buying commands. We communicate with their technical teams and all of their leadership while we're looking for opportunities to utilize the MPP program to help strengthen small businesses and, of course, help the warfighter. Next slide, please. So you ask, why small businesses? Well, small businesses, once again, they are proven to perform with agility and affordability. It is imperative that the Department of Navy identifies these small businesses, startups, and non-traditional suppliers. So some benefits to the mentors. Bear with me right here. So some of the benefits that the mentors have: they can receive credit towards subcontracting goals, reimbursements of certain expenses, other incentives for assisting the proteges in their development. They also develop a small disabled business subcontracting base, and they are able to team with proteges. Believe it or not, some of the large businesses, they need these teaming opportunities. But more importantly, for a lot of my proteges out there, some of the benefits to them: they may receive financial, technical, or management assistance from mentors in obtaining and performing federal contracts. They can serve as future suppliers or under such contracts or subcontracts. It's really a great way to get your foot in the door as a protege. The companies can build lasting relationships with larger companies and become great partnerships for their future efforts. It's really a benefit for everyone. It really is. And just a stat chunk for you potential proteges out there. For every protege firm that participated in an MPP program, The average firm added 3.4 new full-time employees to its payroll over the life of a contract and earned $7.3 million in additional revenues during that period. In the past 5 years, proteges participated in the DoD's Mentor Protege Program and have been awarded over $6.5 billion in contracts and subcontracts as of the last of FY. Those are great numbers and they're really, really useful. Next slide, please. So I made a checklist here, and these are for the mentors. So to be a mentor, the contractor must, in all of these categories, be checked off, be eligible for an award of a federal contract, be qualified to provide assistance, and be in good financial health and of character, is not on the barred or suspended list, has evidence of a capability to impart value to that protege. That's a very key point. They've got to receive DoD contracts totaling at least $100 million in previous fiscal year. Is other than a small entity, but that can be waived and it can go into the agreement. The prime contractor with an active subcontracting plan and is an 8A graduate with documentation of its ability to serve as a mentor. Move to the next slide, please. So to be a protege, they must complete all three. They must be eligible for an award of federal contracts. They must not be owned by the individual or entity with stock option securities in the mentor company itself. And they must be categorized in one of the following categories listed below. Either the small disadvantaged business, the woman-owned small business, the hub zone, the service disabled veteran-owned small business, a business employing the severely disabled, a business owned and controlled by the Native American tribe, a business owned and controlled by the Native Hawaiian organization, and an entity providing goods and services in the private sector that are critical to enhancing the DoD supplier base. Next slide, please. So there are three types of agreements: reimbursable, credit, and hybrid. So the reimbursable is the most commonly used agreement within the Department of the Navy's DoD MPP program. It's an agreement reimbursable agreements provide monetary cost of developmental assistance incurred by the mentor firm and provided to a protege firm in accordance with the agreement approved. The credit agreement and the hybrid agreement both require DCMA approval, regardless of which agency or component it's the agreement's with. So the credit agreement allows the mentor to receive a future credit towards subcontracting goals. And the hybrid agreement, it is what it is. It's a hybrid agreement combined of both reimbursable and credit agreements. Both of these, like I said, they have to go through DCMA, but the application and the process is initiated with the Department of Navy's Office of Small Business Programs, Mentor Protege PM. Next slide. So a very key point is the mentors must choose the protege. The government does not facilitate any teaming or partnering in the agreements. This must happen before any application or agreement can be considered. The application process, all regulatory, So what I wanted to talk about was the picture on the right. So the picture on the right is our website's guidebook. So the link below is the see all, the do all, the fix all. It is the DON's MPP guidebook. So all the application process, all the regulatory process, the guidance, the information from mentors and for proteges, it's outlined in great detail in our guidebook. It truly is the link for it. When you have time, I would definitely take the link, look through it. That's the image you'll see when you go on our website. It's a fairly easy. Ms. White had referred to the website earlier. We're right in the very middle. For some examples in the guidebook. It speaks about how the Navy Mentor Protege Program is initiated by the mentor, how the application process works, how we don't release the solicitation or BAAs. The mentor selects a protege, they identify which major buying command that they want to be sponsored with. Then the mentor, they provide the white paper, any other documentation identifying the proposed agreement and the customer that's going to be supported. Once the tentative sponsorship is agreed to, the formal MPA is submitted to the OSBP MPP PM. So that's a big acronym, huh? The OSBP MPP PM. That's what it is. Once it's approved, it goes through the whole process of how the funds are approved, how they're submitted, and then how it's put on contract. It's a pretty easy process once you learn it and once you actually read through the book and get the information. The next slide, if you can. And so it's pretty quick. I don't say down and dirty, but it's a very good and useful program that has been successful for 30 years. It's been funded on and off, but for almost 30 years, the Mentor Protege program has really helped small businesses, the mentors, the Department of the Navy, and the DoD. So if any of y'all have any questions or concerns, Mr. Parker or myself are available at any time. Our contact numbers and emails are right there. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than available and willing to help. That wraps up my presentation, Ms. Washington. If there are any questions now or at the end.
We will defer all those questions until the end. So thanks, Jerry, for that. Appreciate it. Glad you were able to jump in when our Mentor Protege PM, Mr. Parker, is on leave. So thanks for that, sir. So next up, we're going to transition to our small business offices to talk about what they do there. We have one, Mr. Anthony Phillips from NAVFAC, out there in the Fallon area. And he's going to talk about his program. Anthony.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Absolutely.
So I'm the small business specialist for NAVFAC Southwest. We handle we handle basically all the onshore infrastructure for the Navy and the Marine Corps. We have 6-state responsibility. Not only do we do construction, but we also do janitorial, custodial, as been mentioned in earlier briefings. Next slide, please. This shows the layout of our area of responsibility and all the different field offices that fall in NAVFAC Southwest. Each field office has their own, and I'll go more into more detail later, has their own part-time small business specialist in the office. I'll provide contact information so you can send your capability statements to them, and I'll give you point of contact if they have any upcoming contracting actions or possibilities. Next slide, please. This shows exactly what NAVFAC buys, NAVFAC Southwest. As I said, not only do we do construction, but we have environmental, we have janitorial and facilities, and we have large contracts that operate, basically do all the maintenance and janitorial work on different bases throughout the area. Next slide, please. In 2020, the federal government spent $6.5 trillion. NAVFAC Southwest, we spent $1.09 billion for prime contractors, small businesses. As it was stated in the past presentations, you need to know your target and what they are looking for, what unique capabilities you can bring to that particular field office. The way that you can do that is, it used to be you can go up on FPDS and you can get the information of solicitation, sources sought, and stuff like that. That's been transitioned to SAM.gov. Same information. You just have to do a couple more steps, and I'll get into that on the next slide. You can also see the agencies, what they're spending for your particular NAICS codes, and that website is there. Next slide, please. These are other useful websites. It had been mentioned that a large portion of our rebuild or our contracts for FY20 went to the rebuilding of China Lake after the earthquake. That their website is provided here for reference. So you can go up and you can see what prime contractors are out there and what subcontracting opportunities they might have. Next slide, please. When you go to sam.gov, you do your search, you want to put in N62473. That's a unique identifier for NAVFAC Southwest. When you put that in there, it'll bring up all the information, all the contracting opportunities that are within NAVFAC Southwest. And like I said, what can be found, source of SOT, request for information, different events, contract awards with the prime contractors, point of contact information. So it's a very useful site. Next slide, please, sir, ma'am. My office, what we do is we bring to the table the small business community. We work with the different business lines and ensure that the maximum opportunity going to small businesses is obtained. We provide guidance and advice to our coworkers and counterparts. We'll analyze your capabilities and we'll put that out to the different field offices. I'm myself is not doing in-person capabilities presentations, but you can send me an email and it'll be at the end of this list, at the end of this presentation. It's a simple attachment, just basically outlining what your company can do, your NAICS code, your binding capability. And in turn, what I'll do is I'll send that out to the 16 field offices and my core offices to give you exposure to them. And hopefully that will ensure that you get a contract awarded to you. Next slide, please. These are just, it's been beat to death, these programs. So I'm just going, next slide, please. These are the goals that were established for NAVFAC Southwest for FY21. To date, we have reached a small business goal of 43.88%. So we're just above that goal, which is good. We do lag in some other categories down here, but all in all, we are doing the best that we can do to support the small business community. To date, we've also awarded in value $799 million worth of contract vehicles to the prime small businesses. So we're probably not going to hit that $1 billion mark, but we're making a good effort to it. Next slide, please. One of the websites that the SBA offers is the second bullet down. It's for subcontract opportunities. There you can go and you can see not only what's in NAVFAC, but the other federal agencies provide subcontracting opportunities there. The dynamic small business search, you want to make sure that that profile is correct and up to date, because that's our primary search engine when we go out and start doing our market research. Next slide, please. These are the additional resources that are located in there. They've been mentioned before, so these are just their main websites, and from there you can drill down and find the center that's close to you. Next slide, please. This is the information for Nevada itself. It also offers the My Point of Contact and the NAFAC PAC point of contact out there. Next slide, please. Like I said, we have a total of 16 field offices. Each field office has a small business part-time person there that can be your main point of contact when you're looking to get work within that general area. Or you can send an email to me and I can see if I can direct it out to the respective field office. Next slide, please. This is the current listing of all the part-time small business specialists, contact information, and their phone numbers. For Fallon, your point of contact would be Sherry Nickerson. She's working in the Fiat Fallon, so she would be the point of contact that you would want to go to. Next slide, please. And I'm done, Ms. Washington.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us and share some great information. Next up, we have Mr. Daniel DeConto. He is the Small Business Director for the Naval Information Warfare Systems Command. Dan, over to you.
RVs, thank you very much. You guys hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, I'm having an issue with my video right now, but I think we should be able to move through this no problem. What a great looking logo on that slide. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me today. I am Dan DeConzo. I'm the director at NAVWAR headquarters in San Diego. And for those of you that don't know, NAVWAR also consists of the Naval Information Warfare Center, PAC Pacific, which is located in San Diego topside, and then also NIWC LANT, which is located over in the Charleston area. So it's important to really identify these different commands because, you know, depending on where you are geographically located may make a major determination on which one of the bases that you're interested in doing work for. So along with that, on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the DODAX, but as you can see by here, you know, one of our main NAICS codes is the 541330. You know, this encompasses, you know, a bevy of engineering support service type requirements. And so if you're doing that type of work and this is your primary NAICS code, you'll know how sophisticated many of these projects can become. And so we do a majority of those type of contracts here at headquarters. However, when you're looking over at the PAC or LANT, they do other types of requirements and other types of purchases. So you also will find some opportunities for simplified acquisitions. So what I often recommend, and especially if you're just, you know, starting to, you know, cross the fence line and trying to do work for NAVWAR, one of the best ways to do that is, one is, you know, we have our e-commerce website, and that's listed on the next slide. And what it talks about is this is a place where we can announce everything from sources sought notices to RFP releases. We also can talk about industry days, you know, because we have, you know, major program offices located at NAVWAR. Many of the program offices and their competencies will run industry days for particular requirements throughout the year. In fact, PMW 160 often would do around this time of the year an industry day that would consist of all the upcoming requirements for their codes, and they would talk a little bit about it. You'd get a chance to meet with some of the technical folks. You know, but with COVID going on, I mean, it's certainly hampered some of the industry days that we've had on a regular basis. But I encourage you to go to the e-commerce website because this is a great place to go to find out what's coming up. You can also see about local industry days that we might be putting on at the PAC or at headquarters. It's a great place to go and find out about possible delays and releases of RFPs. So the e-commerce site is a great portal to go to. Another one is our long-range forecast. And I'm sure you've heard plenty about long-range forecast today. But I'd encourage you to go down and take a look at ours. And if we can go to the next slide, please, if I have that on there. Yeah. What back one, please. There you go. And so the long range forecast for NAVWAR is a great tool. As you know, it's going to contain projects over $5 million. You know, there's some legislative requirements there that, you know, otherwise, you know, this thing could be so cumbersome that you'd never get through it. So basically projects over $5 million, and the majority of those are going to be service type contracts. This is a place where you would go to see where these requirements are in the acquisition process, what's coming down the pipe next. And I must say that, you know, we have some pretty savvy folks in my office and throughout NAVWAR that have really made some major contributions to putting the long range forecast together and making it an easy read. And you know, some of the comments have been it's accurate, it's up to date. We show incumbent information. We try to give you the range whenever we possibly can. We try to give you potential release dates whenever we can. So we try to give you as much information as we possibly can without, you know, obviously crossing any acquisition integrity lines. But the nice thing that we also do for industry is we release this twice a year. And so we have one currently in play, which comes out in May. And then we also have another one that comes out in November. So you'll be seeing the new version coming out in November. And Tuan Doan in my office does an amazing job of really capturing all the data and all the metrics that are required to create this long range forecast, put it all together in one nice bundle, and then release it on our small business website, which we've also listed here. So I encourage you to go there, take a look through there. If you see some requirements you have questions on, or you think might fit within your swim lane, you know, give me a call, give anybody in my office or some of the names listed here. When you go to the small business website, you'll also be able to see fact sheets, and these fact sheets contain information for each of the buying commands, so that if you're trying to reach Mary at PAC or Robin or Elizabeth over at LANT, it'll give you their contact information. It'll also give you their DODAC information. And if you haven't really learned about DODACs yet, which I'm hoping you have, you know, this is basically an opportunity for you to be able to look at a command's activity address code, and we call that a DODAC. And the reason why that's important to know is because when you search some of these different types of requirements, whatever your search tool is that you're using, you can filter it by DODAC. And as I've listed here, the different DODACs that are associated to the different commands is how you would find that particular work, right? So if you're located somewhere in the Washington, Virginia, Charleston area, and you're looking to find out what's going on over, you know, with NIWC LANT, you know, you'd know that you'd check the N65236 DODAC, and that would give you a list of some of the projects over there. So with that being said, I'm not sure how much time I got, Arvis. Am I good, or am I?
You're good. If you have something else you want to share, or we can save it for Q&A.
Okay, so let me close out right here. That's code for get off the stage, Dan. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is just let you know, yesterday we had a great event at NDIA here in San Diego. National Defense Industry Association is a gathering of savvy, experienced small businesses and large businesses that do work in the area to talk about different things that are coming up. And one of the things we did is I really put a good emphasis on this event. I put out the link. I invited a bunch of folks that were there to participate today. So I'm really hoping that a lot of those folks did attend today and got a lot out of this training. And I appreciate you know, everybody working towards this, and Arvis and all the folks behind the scenes that prepare an event like this, and then invite us out there to talk a little bit about how you can do business with our command. So this is kind of a snapshot of how to do it, but I encourage you to reach out to us by email, by phone, or however you want to contact us, and we'd be happy to share more information with you. Thank you very much. That's all I have. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dan. And last but not least, we have Mr. Shelby Butler from NAVAIR headquarters in Pax River, Maryland.
Good afternoon, NAS Fallon. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this briefing on how to do business with the Naval Air Systems Command. My name is Shelby Butler, and I am the NAVAIR Director of the Office of Small Business Programs. I have quite a few things to expound on today, and I will share some current and future procurement opportunities with you. So pull out your notepads as I promise to be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. Now to NAVAIR. Our command focuses its energy on our sailors and Marines. Since its inception, NAVAIR's goal has been to provide full life cycle support of naval aviation aircraft, weapons, and systems operated by sailors and Marines. This includes research, design, development, systems engineering, acquisition, test and evaluation, training facilities and equipment, repair and modification, and in-service engineering and logistics support. We rely on our team members, civilian, military, and industry partners to adhere to these principles and provide our sailors and Marines with the latest technology and the ability to sustain legacy systems, weapons, and aircraft. Our role in the Department of Defense and Naval Aviation is very clear. We are dealing with near-peer challenges from Russia, China, and others. Therefore, we must increase our innovation and productivity in the areas that support the aircraft and our weapons systems. A huge part of that involves acquiring the ability and the applicable data to make informed decisions regarding cost, schedule, and performance. We also are focused on increasing the Navy and Marine Corps' capabilities, readiness, and affordability. The slide shown details our top 5 NAICS codes for small businesses. The takeaway here is the fact that our obligations for the top 2 NAICS codes for small businesses are 541330 for engineering services and 541715, which represents SBIRs and STTRs. So you can see we are focusing a lot of resources on innovation. Additionally, we want to strengthen the ties between government and small businesses through communication, leadership, affordability, and engagement. Once accomplished, we can begin to expand commonality initiatives within NAVAIR using our technical talent to maximize opportunities for cross-platform commonality and rapidly implement ongoing efforts. Here are some of the current and future small business set-aside opportunities at NAVAIR. The NAVAIR Security Cooperation Program Office is utilizing an A&C company for our current maintenance, repair, overhaul, that's MRO, and training IDIQ contract. This is a $100 million IDIQ contract. We have multiple task orders awarded on this contract that allow the SCPO to perform MRO, logistics, and training task orders at multiple sites and program offices. Having said that, we are currently looking at ANC, NHO, and Native Indian tribes for the SCPO national contracts. There will be 3 IDIQ contracts for $100 million each in support of fixed wing sustainment, rotary wing sustainment, logistics, program management, and financial support. Under our aviation programs for Navy training systems, we have the MH-60 system, concurrency, and air wing integration, which is a 6-year single award IDIQ contract for simulator and classroom resource upgrades for an estimated value of $100 million. Under our cross warfare programs, we have the Fielded Training System Support 5, which is an 8-year multiple award contract with an estimated value of $1 billion MAC ceiling. That's multiple award contract ceiling. It will have 2 lots, a small business set aside and a full and open. It is for contract operations and maintenance services and contractor support services, and includes the following anticipated small business prime opportunities: Naval Aviation Technical Training Center, 5-year small business set aside competitive contract with an estimated value of $16 million. Res 4 Comms CIS FTFS 5, which is a 5-year small business set aside competitive contract for an estimated value of $24 million. Diversified Aircrew Readiness Training Systems and All Sensor Advanced Analysis Training, a 5-year small business set aside competitive contract with an estimated value of $15 million. Naval Aviation Survival Training Program, 5-year small business set aside competitive contract with an estimated value of $5 million. Our NAWC TSD, that's NAWC TSD Product Line Management, which is a 5-year small business set aside IDIQ cross-platform contract supporting multiple U.S. Navy programs to stand up and or refresh U.S. Navy IT systems. For example, classrooms, labs, hard task trainers, etc. Battle Stations 21 Sustainment, which is a 5-year small business set aside IDIQ contract with an estimated value of $50 million ceiling that provides support of the life cycle sustainment plan. That's configuration, testing, installation, and integration for the BST-21. Software maintenance of fielded training systems, which is a 5-year contract. The set aside is still TBD, with an estimated value of $60 million, which requires contractor support services for in-service engineering office support. The CSS requirements are for temporary augmentation of the NASWC TSD workforce. Firefighter training structures and props comms, which is a 5-year small business set aside competitive contract with an estimated value of $5 million that includes comms on behalf of the Commander, Naval Installations Command, Center for Naval Air Technical Training, and the U.S. Marine Corps installations to support firefighter training structures and props for training devices at various locations worldwide. The Naval Introductory Flight Evaluation, which is a 5-year small business set aside, potentially a services disabled veteran-owned small business set aside, but that's still pending, depending on the results of the market research. So that would be a competitive contract with an estimated value of $21 million for the Chief of Naval Air Training Command, which requires contractor services, supplies, and tasks for the operation and support of the United States Naval Introductory Flight Evaluation Program. Finally, under the Surface and Undersea programs, we have the Engineering Contractor Instructor Services requirement, where the RFP is imminent. So keep your eyes open. It is a 5-year contract with the to be determined value, and it will be a service disabled veteran-owned small business set aside to augment military instructors for engineering and damage control courses, curriculum updates, and SME support. Remember, Starkist doesn't want tuna with good taste. Starkist wants tuna that tastes good. I'm dating myself here, but how does that apply to you? Be good at proposal writing, but be great at contract execution. The last thing we want is for you to win a contract. Yay, that's a great day. And then fail on its execution. You have to put all the pieces together. Get ready for prime time and to be successful. Now, what is one way that the NAVAIR OSBP is strengthening the ties between the government and small businesses? I'm so glad that you asked that question. We are currently scheduling one-on-one meetings with industry, and I highly encourage you to participate, especially if you are new to the Navy or NAVAIR and are interested in responding to any of the aforementioned small business set-aside opportunities. These meetings are geared toward focusing on your business and how your niche and capabilities can meet or exceed the current and future NAVAIR requirements. You will also receive a plethora of advice and information to assist your company with engaging NAVAIR moving forward. The DoD Mentor Protege is another great vehicle for small businesses to grow, increase their capabilities, attain exposure in new sectors, and to have the doors of opportunity open for your company. We are more than happy to discuss this program and any other items of interest in more detail during our one-on-one industry meetings. I encourage you to contact us via our website and schedule your one-on-one industry meeting today. Thank you. And I now yield the floor back to Ms. Washington for your questions. Ms. Washington, over to you.
Thank you, Shelby. You're always such a breath of fresh air to wake us up. We're going to start putting you on first to kick it off and end it at the end of the day. So thanks, Shelby. And thanks to Dan and Anthony for that. So we do have some questions, but we'll ask you to go ahead and start populating your questions in the chat. We can probably take the slides down, Ms. White, and then if all of our panelists don't have to unmute, but maybe turn your cameras on so everyone can see you. The first question that we have will be for the Fallon area. This company is interested in 8A sole source projects that are projected for fiscal years 22 and 23. And a follow-on is, will any of those sole source awards be over the $4 million threshold for tribally owned companies?
I think I'll take that one. I guess I'm assuming that the target service would be construction or facility services. Off the top of my head, I don't have our project list for the next year. Very few of our projects exceed that $4 million mark. You know, cumulatively they would, but generally many of our projects are, you know, in the $100,000 to $1 million range. Based on our estimated budget, we'll probably get 4 to 5 projects of that size for the year. We do intend to use 8A set aside or negotiated sole source. If the person asking the question is interested, we'd love to receive a capability brief from your company. And I'd be happy to be the point of contact to set that up. And then we can probably answer those questions in a little bit more detail. Over.
Great, thank you, sir. So we do have a question about the slides. As I stated earlier, the slides will be made available. They will be posted on our Department of Navy Office of Small Business Programs website. So the next question, I'm going to throw this out to the boss here, Mr. Smith. In his presentation, and I believe Anthony as well, he talked about goals. So Mr. Smith, can you tell our attendees here, how are the goals, how do we come about with who gets what goal? And then can you talk specifically about the women-owned small business goal, looking at what we've awarded historically, maybe what those goals have been, and then what we're thinking things will look like in the future.
Excellent. Thanks for the question, Ms. Watson. Appreciate that. I'm going to have to figure out how to fire her at some point in time.
Don't
Yeah,
do
Jerry,
this.
I said it, Jerry. But to get after the question, the small business goals for the Department of Defense are actually negotiated at the Small Business Administration level for the Department of Defense. Being one of the components within the Department of Defense, we have the Air Force, the Army, the Fourth Estate, and the Navy, which primarily make up those sub-tier services within the Department of Defense. So those are great. Those goals are set aside at the agency level. We have meetings, and we actually have some pretty robust meetings to negotiate amongst ourselves who's going to take what share of what primary components so that we all at the end of the day contribute to the total goal of Department of Defense meeting its goals and objectives. So you may see in the case of the women-owned small businesses that our goals for women-owned small businesses are declining over the years from FY17 to FY20. The goals have declined, but our performance has not. So that's just what the Department of Defense lays out as the numbers we need to achieve to meet the minimum requirements that the Small Business Administration lays out across all of the department. Hopefully that's clear, but as you may also know from the chart that I put up, the amount of money that we've spent on women-owned small businesses has steadily increased over the last 5 years, and we're continuing to do that in FY21 as well. So goals are great. Goals are there as a target to go after, but by no means do we only strive to achieve goals. We actually strive to achieve the mission first. And oh, by the way, these great acquisition strategies of using the different socioeconomic groups, that comes in handy to spread the work around. But again, no real focus on goals, focuses on the mission, and the outcome is what it is. We're achieving in great areas to meet our requirements. Over.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Washington, can I jump in with a little bit of clarification or additional information?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So back to the initial question about the construction and over $4 million. One of our, the activity that's obviously responsible for construction is NAFAC. Some of the data, I just did a data dive in preparation for this particular event, and I noticed that they actually do contract quite a bit of construction, perhaps not right there in the Fallon area, but across obviously the whole DoD. So what I would recommend is, again, when you go to our website, you can click on the map, you can get all kinds of points of contact, but their LRAF, their forecast is actually out there in terms of what they are forecasting for anyone who may be interested. So while they couldn't be here personally today, wanted to provide that little tidbit to be able to help those that may be interested in construction. It will have points of contact and dates and things like that in their particular area to be able to contact, having to do with construction and over $4 million. So just wanted to stick that out there.
And I do believe in Anthony's presentation, when you do get the slides, you'll have the list of the small business professionals and their authorized representatives with their contact information. One nice little sheet in this presentation. So thanks, Anthony, for sharing that as well.
You're welcome.
All right. This question, I believe, is going to be back for the Fallon folks. So what is the jet fuel demand specifically for the Nevada Naval Base? Do you know the jet fuel demand?
Yeah, so I can talk about this just kind of like on the surface. So Code 400 logistics here for FLC. We don't own the fuel program, but we do work closely with these guys over at Code 700. Henry Newsey is the director over there. He dropped his head in this morning and let me know. So they had a really busy month last night. I threw this up in the QA chat for who asked, but 3 million gallons ish in about a month for the aircraft here on base. And the facility itself has 3 million gallons in holding capacity. So we've got these large tanks out back at the fuel farm, and the fuel is actually supplied. The JP8 is supplied from it's offsite. It's a place out in Sparks, Now I can get more details from Henry on that for the contract itself, exactly what's written in there, the amount of money that they actually spend on it. I don't know those details, but that's about the demand. I'd say that was a little high. They're constantly refilling the tanks, but yeah, about 3 million gallons in the last month, more or less. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Thank you, sir. So this one, next question will be for the SBA. And I think we're talking about the women-owned small business certification. So it says to qualify for the SBA certification, what is the percentage of ownership for a women-owned managing member? Their business partner is an Army vet, and she is a Native American woman and a woman. So what's the percentage?
All right, I will take the question. Can you hear me? I think there's a problem with my computer. So, but can you hear me right now?
Yes, ma'am, we
Okay.
can hear you.
So for women-owned business, she must be like own 51% of the as the owner of the women-owned small business. So it's 51%.
Great, thank you. And while we're on those lines, since we've got you up, Consuelo.
Yes.
So if a company is located in California, Nevada, do they have to speak to that representative that's in their state or in their local area? Or it looks like this company was trying to work with an SBA representative that might have been in another state and they didn't want to talk to them. So can you talk a little bit about the lines of communication and who you should be reaching out to?
Okay, yeah, there's no problem. They can contact us in the SBA Nevada district office and we can definitely give them some information and assist them to that.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah, they can call us, no problem. We can help them.
Thank you. And so if we don't have any more questions, I've only got one more. The P-Tax. So can Vanessa and Joan maybe just come on and give out their contact information? The P-Tax are a great resource. So whether it's the Nevada P-Tax, and maybe tell them how they can find information about P-Tax in their local area as well.
Sure. This is Joan. Vanessa, I'll go first and just talk about the Nevada PTAC. I would invite any of you who are on today, I would like you to personally give me a call on my state cell phone, which is 702-817-6214. Again, my state cell phone is 702-817-6214. Please call me directly. I would love to speak with you and your business and how your business can meet its own mission, but achieve, these government agency missions as well. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Gleach, and I can be contacted at 480-699-9529. We are in our office working, so we are scheduling in-person appointments. We have conducted in-person outreach events, so you can either call me or email me at Vanessa, VENESSA .Gleich, GLEICH at AICCCAL.org, and we'll be happy to help you in any capacity that we can.
Thank you, Vanessa. Consuelo, so this company is having trouble finding out information about how to upload their additional women-owned small business backup documents. Can she reach out to you and you can provide her some assistance or point her in the direction who she can talk to help her with uploading her documents? You're on mute, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, definitely she can contact us. I think our information is on the slides right now, so yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, well, I do not see any additional questions. I would like to thank everyone who participated in this webinar today, particularly our panelists. We've been working for months now to get this on the schedule, and I appreciate the folks from Fallon, the PTACs, the SBA, and all collaborating with us to have this event, and particularly want to thank our small business workforce as well, bringing real requirements, things that you can go after, bite your teeth on, but utilize our small business workforce, utilize the PTACs, utilize the SBA as a value resource. So before I close out, Mr. Smith, do you have any parting words, or Commander Buyer?
Commander, I'll let you go first.
No, I don't anything specific, have anything specific, but I would like to just, again, thank the Office of Small Business Programs for putting this on. If there's, Fallon being a small community, in fact, Northern Nevada in its entirety is fairly small. Giving those opportunities or presenting opportunities to small businesses, and particularly Native-owned businesses, can only help the Navy meet its mission and provide some opportunities for those businesses. So just a huge win-win, I think, for everybody involved. And I just want to thank the attendees and the Office of Small Business Programs. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, I won't hold anybody up any longer. This was a great opportunity. Take advantage of all of the resources that have been presented to you today. Utilize me, utilize my office, utilize the PTACs. I love the PTACs, by the way. I absolutely love the PTACs. I say that everywhere I go, and I know there's over 300 of you, and I know you're feeling the love right now, but I absolutely love the PTACs and everything that you bring to helping us achieve our mission. So, Fallon, continue to do well. If you need us out there in person, just let us know. We'll be glad to come out and do more in-depth outreach opportunities in person if that's what you guys want to go forward with. But we're here, we're free, and we're an advocate for you getting the work done. Again, no free handouts. This is all about getting the work done and supporting the mission. So again, thank you everyone. Appreciate your participation. To my team, outstanding job again. I would say I would give you Friday off, but too many people on the line, so I'm not going to say that out loud. So, but have a great weekend nonetheless, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, RBs. Great job. Talk to you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Great job.
Thank you.